Let me show you how you can create any custom report that you want in Google Analytics 4. You'll find the custom report or exploration section on the left-hand side menu. Once you are there, just click blank report. Inside the custom report, you can actually create multiple reports within each tab. So from here, this is a tab. You can name this anything that you'd like. So we can name it tab 1. We can then click on the plus button over here and create another report, and we can name it whatever we want. Now let's break down key things about our custom report. So from the left-hand side menu over here, we can name the mega report. I'd like to call it mega report as it can consist different reports, just like I mentioned. So we can name the mega report anything. I'm gonna name it with my name, and later on, if we actually go back to the exploration section, we would see the report name now changes to use this name. Then we have the date range. It's pretty much straightforward, the date range that we want our data to reflect. Then we have the segments. We can skip this for now. Now we have the core of the report, dimensions and matrices. So from here, if you click the plus icon, you would see all of the dimensions and matrices that you are familiar with. So you can add anything in here. So for example, I'm just gonna add from the dimension menu session source medium. You can either use that search functionality or you can just scroll through everything. So now let me show you how this works. I'm gonna select the geography and I'm just gonna select the region, and now I'm gonna hit confirm. Once I do that, the dimension would be added to the left-hand side menu. Then let's add some matrices. So I'm just gonna hit the plus icon over here for matrices, and I'm just gonna add sessions, users, purchase, revenue. Now let's add these dimensions and matrices to our report. So what we can do is basically drag and drop the dimension and metric that we want. So for example, for session source medium, I can drag it over here for the rows, and for matrices I can drag this to the values section over here, and the data would now be visible to me. And now since I'm using the table report, it shows the data filtered into a table. And by the way, if you wanna add dimension and matrices faster, you can just double click on the dimension or metric just by double clicking on it, and it will be added to the report directly. And you can just change the order of these columns by just dragging and dropping them like this, and it will change accordingly. If you want to add another layer of data or another dimension to the data, you can just double click the other dimension that you have in here. So for example, let's double click on the region, and what will happen is that it will be now added in the report in this format after the session source medium data, as that's the primary dimension. So for example, here this session source medium for California did had this number of total users and this number of sessions, but you can also do one more thing. So instead of having this added in this way, what you can do actually is removing the region from the rows section, and instead you can just add it to the columns. And let's see what happened when we do that. Once we add it to the columns, what will happen is that we will have the session source medium information over here, and then we have each region. So for California, for the direct none, it had this number of total users and this number of total sessions. If we go here, we can see similarly for New York and Washington. And the reason why I'm seeing lots of not set in this property, because this is the Google Analytics public property and the data quality here is not best. Now let's say that we want to add some filters to this report. We can scroll down within this column, and at the bottom we will find this filters option. So just click on it, and then you'll have the option to select a dimension or a metric that you included to the mega report. And remember, when I say mega report, I'm talking about this section, anything that you add in this left-hand side menu, and you can actually choose a dimension that you have added in here while it is not available in here. So to give you this example, let me actually remove the region from this report entirely, and then we only have the session source medium data. And now let's use the region as the filter. So let's add region, and then the match type over here, we have lots of settings or options to take from or select from. I'm gonna select exactly matches because I want to filter the data for a specific region only. So let's select exactly matches, and then let's say we want to see the data for Illinois. So let's hit apply and see what happens. So what happens now is that the data now looks very small considering the amount it used to be before applying the filter. And just to give you a reminder, if we remove this right now, the data will now start looking as it used to. And since we just talked about having filters with a specific region, let's now actually create a custom segment for a specific region as well. On the left-hand side menu, and again, this is the mega menu settings, you just click on the plus icon over here, and then you can select one of the pre-built segments that Google Analytics has, or you can just create your own segment, which what we will do. So create a new segment. You can define the segment based on a specific condition. So it can be user scope, session scope, event segment. So for us, we're just gonna use session scope since we're looking at the session source medium data. Inside that, we can give it a name. So I'm just gonna add California users, and we can also add a description over here, but I'm not going to do that. And then from this menu, we can just select region or any other thing that we want. This is the only place that doesn't depend on which dimensions or matrices that we have added in the mega menu settings. So I'm just gonna type region. And then this is the condition. This is really similar to how we set up the filter, just it has different interface. So I'm just gonna do exactly matches, and I'm just gonna select California. And once I hit apply, see what happens with this graph. So I'm just gonna hit apply, and we can see the total number of users or sessions that are included within this segment. So we now have an understanding of how much users or session data that would be included inside this segment before even creating it. So let's hit apply, and let's actually create another segment. Let's do session segment, and then New York users, region exactly matches New York. And similarly, we will see how many users or how many sessions are included in here. So let's hit apply. And by just adding these are automatically added to the segment comparison over here, which basically applies them to the report. So we can now see California users and New York users and what is the performance of each segment. But we can just basically delete one of them. And by deleting it, it will use the one that you added, and then it will use the total. And if you removed both, the report would look like how it looked earlier. And let's now try creating another tab in the same report. So we're currently on the second tab over here, which is named test. Now let's open tab 1 over here. And as you already noticed, it's empty, and this is completely normal since we did not add anything in here. However, anything that we added to the dimension and metrics mega settings, we can reuse inside this report. But let's do something different for this report as well. Let's select another type of visualization over here. So let's do line chart, and let's double click on the session source medium, and let's select purchase revenue. So what happens is that we will see in our report the session source medium, and again is the revenue only, and that's the only report where you will find limitation in adding dimension or metrics, but it makes sense using one metric and one dimension for this report. And I think there are other types like the donut chart, for example, that you will find the same limitation. But yeah, you can just explore and try what is best based on your needs. This report will only be visible to you unless you are using the same credential that your team is using to log into Google Analytics 4. If you want to share this report with someone from your team, you'll need to have access to this property, and you'll need to have an editor access, and you just need to click on this icon over here to share the report. Since I don't have enough permission to share it on this property, let me open another property where I can show you this. So I have here a blank report, but let's say I want to share this report with someone from my team. I'll just click on this plus icon and hit share. Now this report is currently shared. If my team wants to open this report, all what they need to do is just go to the explore section on the same Google Analytics 4 property, and then they will find the report over here, and you would be able to see that it has different icon from the others because this one is visible to my team. Once they click on the report, they will not have an edit option to edit the same report, and this is because unfortunately Google Analytics 4 doesn't allow sharing reports with edit option. However, in this section over here, they will see another button like a copy button. Once they click on it, they will be able to copy the same report and then update it if needed. If they want to change the date range, if they wanted to add a specific dimension or remove a specific metric, they will be able to do that because the new version will be under their name. If you're not confident about your analytics and tracking knowledge, especially when someone asks you to create a specific report using Google Analytics 4, or even testing your Facebook tracking, or creating a custom event for Google Analytics 4 or a custom dimension or metric, I highly recommend taking my analytics confidence blueprint, where I teach you how to use Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Shopify tracking, consent setup, server-side tracking, and you get direct access to me. You get 1 hour weekly with me. Plus to that, you get access to my web analytics community, where you can just post about any tracking issue or anything regarding marketing analytics, and I'll personally jump in and help. Join over than 50 marketers, analysts, and business owners trying to making sense of their analytics again. If this sounds good, I'll leave the link to my web analytics community in the description. Feel free to check it out or reach out to me if you have any questions. That's it. I hope that was helpful. If you find this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to my channel, like and share the video, as this motivates me to create more content. That was Ahmed, and if you have any ideas for future videos, make sure to drop them in the comment section, as I look into it personally. And yeah, see you in the next video.